All right, in this video, I'm gonna review what perhaps may be the ultimate Swiss Army knife plate-loaded machine, the Quantum Free Trainer. And if you guys don't know, this is the next, and from what I'm told, the final evolution of many machines, but previously before this was the Quantum Trainer Pro 2, of which I did many videos, and I will link those down below if you guys want more of a background context. But basically what Glenn, the owner, who is kind of a one-man show, based out of the UK, these things are only selling out of the United States as of right now. He essentially took all the feedback, some of the cons, and some of the stuff that was initially add-ons on the Quantum Trainer Pro 2 and improved upon all of that and also included all the bundles and extras into one set package here. While this is simplistic in design, this is one of those machines that really can do so many different things that we would be here all day showcasing all the various exercises and angles and variations that you guys can take advantage of this. But I will do my best to kind of cover the general features, the rundowns, the pros, some of the cons, and then at the end discuss who I think this machine is best suited for. Gonna give you guys my honest feedback as if I was talking to a friend, of which I do consider you guys all of that. And if you guys do want to help support me and the channel and considering picking up one of these, I will drop a discount code down below in the description box. As always, greatly helps support me and most importantly, my family. The first thing I want to get into is pricing, unboxing, assembly, and then what all comes in this set package. Now I got into pricing more specifically with Glenn and did ask him how much this price may or may not fluctuate in the future. He said if anything this price could possibly rise because of the parts, the shipping, and also he is kind of a one-man show, so it is set at a pre-order price right now of $3,695. I believe the first run initially sold out, but you can still reserve it for $150 down at the time of this recording. So I understand both sides of the coin here. On Glenn's perspective, this thing is a big, heavy-duty, commercial-grade type of machine. It's actually stronger than 11 gauge steel. I think it's technically 10.5 gauge steel. Regardless, this thing is a commercial gym piece, and I've always said this thing would be great in any kind of a studio, no question. However, people in the home gym audience, which from what I gather, this is really who he's kind of initially marketing it out towards, might see this as a very expensive item that might not be worth the high price tag, and maybe someone doesn't need that much of a robust machine. My overall point here with price is that I think for what it is and how built it is, it kind of warrants the price, especially when you start finding things that I know about how much shipping cost is just alone. This thing comes in one solid big crate box, and all the parts, as you can tell, being a 10.5 gauge steel, are pretty decent and hefty in size. I've said in the past videos, you could assemble the Quantum Trainer Pro 2 in roughly 15-ish, maybe 20 minutes. The Quantum Free Trainer, however, takes a little bit longer because you use some other little parts here, so I'd say it takes about half an hour for one person to put it together, but still it uses these little screw-on bolts. And then in the instruction manual, you actually see these bolts the other way around. Glenn said this works out best to kind of put it on like this. You get two tools. This is all you essentially need with these bolts. There's a little Allen wrench screw here to kind of lock it in and seal it so it doesn't come undone. All right, now getting into accessories, and I'll talk about some of their functions as we kind of go along here. You do have the lat loader, which you can choose to take off. I'll get into that. Then you have the lat pull down bar that has these various notches here. I'll discuss that functionality. If you want to take advantage of this, he does include a bunch of carabiner clips. I believe he gives you 8 of these fairly large carabiner clips. I believe roughly it was 8 or so of these weight clips. You of course have the standard handles, and I'm tempted to want to go into some of the functionality and differences, but I'll get to that in the next segment here. But you got those. You have these other handles that you can adjust. You can use these for various functions or preferences if you guys want to. There's side bolts on each side of these, however you want to adjust that. These rotate about 360 degrees. One thing that used to be a problem, even though he does have lateral loaders on the side and the vertical loaders, was kind of stacking the plates and getting your fingers kind of trapped or just getting the weights too close together. That can be an issue legitimately. So he gives you a lot of these 0.25 kilogram little weights. So you're kind of stacked if you want some micro loaded plates. He gives you actually 10 of these, and I would usually stack 2, sometimes 3 on top to space the weights, but even though oftentimes I'd still put like a 2.5 or 5 pound plate between plates if I wanted to. Gives you a little belt squat attachment, other attachment. You could do, say, things like bicep curls or anything else to your heart's desire. Right here, this little stubby attachment. This was something I suggested in the previous model. He gives you not 1, but 2 of these landmine attachments, and I like this because you can put things over your back for squats. You can do presses here. A lot of times I even like doing rows with these landmine attachments. So very happy he gave you 2 of these. Another big upgrade, you got this little holder here for your knees or legs to kind of lock you in, say for lat pull downs. And then you don't see it in this video, but I'll flash a clip of this. There are some extra loaders on the back if you do want to put them in the back side. And Glenn does have an image here I'll show you where you can still functionally use it if you give it some space and adjust the back lever arm, which is a new feature I'll get to. All right, now I'll just go over some of the features and functions of the machines and then maybe touch on briefly some of the upgrades that he did go ahead and do. Up here, I'm just gonna take this lap bar down, but one thing I actually will show you, if you're kind of curious about this, the reason you have these little things, you can put the carabiners on and attach them onto these little clips on the handle, do a different kind of a lat pull down that really does feel like a lat pull down you would find in the gym with one solid unit with both arms working together, just kind of connecting the machine. So you can do it like the basic lat pull with this lever mechanism, which I'll touch on here. I don't think it's really worth the subtle cumbersome nature of just putting this thing together. Otherwise, the lat pull down is fine, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not really using this one. I will just use my other lap bars. The handles do go out. There are 2 holes on this standard handle, which allows you to kind of fine tune the setting, which is useful sometimes at various points, or if you want to extend that arm out a little bit. And then you have this pivot point here. Great, of course, for just dialing in a particular press you want to do, could neutral grip, standard, or say for things for flies. An upgrade or just a nice feature he did do. And of course, I'm going to complain, as we always like to, about stuff that is very minor. It is now an upgrade instead of a plastic. I never liked feeling that plastic touch point. Now it is kind of like a metal. It is not like a, I would say it kind of feels like a cheaper metal. There's a knurl there. I much rather prefer this than plastic, so it is an upgrade. I would have liked to have this been a little more substantial and feeling a little bit more aggression in the knurl. Just feel a little more like a harder metal versus kind of like a plastic material. This lat loader was a huge upgrade, was not there in the original model. This was something he sent to me later on when he did the upgrade. You can choose to take this off, and why you'd want to do that is, let's say if you want to use this for pull-ups, you can get a higher starting point by putting the buffers on the top ones. So you kind of sacrifice some space there. I don't have it yet, but I will do an update video and you guys will see this, but I'll insert it here. You can attach cables very simply to the machine from the top and bottom pulley, so that is something you guys can do. So I'm going to show you guys some of Glenn's footage right there. That is something you can do. It's just simply getting a pulley, attaching it through the bottom pin. These are 3x3 1-inch holes. So that is another kind of nice universal. The previous Quantum trainer did not have the lateral holes off to the side. So something such as the Beyond Power Vultra. Now, if you guys have something like that, you want to maximize it. I don't know how much I'll use it. I'm sure there's other creative things you can do. I was doing seated cable pulls with the Beyond Power Vultra. It locked in fine, off the side of the machine. So you got 2 different buffers. I believe that's what they're called. They kind of hold the lever arms in various positions. You have your one main longer one. That was on the initial version. And then he went ahead and added on these smaller compact buffers, which again come on for free with the whole package. These support pads, another big, huge thing that for sure was necessary on this new upgrade, and it's coming standard. You got a few different positions. I believe they got, so maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions right there for you. What I'm probably even gonna do, because I used to do this even before I even had these, I might even kind of have them anchored kind of low. This way I can kind of just put my knees underneath it and do kind of a lower row, but we'll see. But sometimes I would actually do lat pull downs from the ground. All right, big thing people are asking for, myself included, although initially Glenn said it wasn't totally necessary because most people are probably gonna use this setting, so I get it, but it is nice to have options when you can get them. And it kind of made sense to eventually go ahead and do that, is the ability now to go ahead, pull this pin, and go up and down and move these lever arms. Or arms, I should say. What you'll notice when you first put them in, or at least was noticeable to me, is that there's some of this play, but that play completely goes away once you load on some weight. You can see now there's also a lateral weight off to the side, just kind of further mixes it up if you want to load weight on that way for whatever reason you might want to. It's going to be much easier, so sometimes you'll see some shots here, me having weight on the standard vertical and then back here, but since you are closer to the pivot point, that lever arm is much shorter over here. It's going to be you're not going to feel much weight on that side, so it's kind of up to you how you want to use that, but it's nice to have them if you want to load weight on that side. Something that Glenn is doing that is necessary and might be a little frustrating initially when you use this machine is there is a learning curve. You have to start memorizing, or at least thinking in your head, where certain holes are at certain positions for you in the bench and what exercise you want to do. So not gonna lie, there are times where I gotta take the weights off, adjust some attachment points, put the buffers down, all sorts of stuff that once I kind of get that down where I want things, it'll be much easier, especially even with this new machine. And even Glenn, what he's gonna do eventually is some sort of color coding system with numbers so you can kind of set different settings. This straight arm bar, the straight bar, it's still kind of a heavy, bulky thing. The bar itself is a thicker diameter because I like that. There was something with the old one that I just didn't like the way it felt kind of like thin. This distance right here is smaller. That can be kind of a pro and or con. It's more of a pro, I guess, because it's more compact. Kind of a con, you'll see me doing things like bench presses, where I had to kind of fine tune the bench just right so my head wasn't kind of in this little area. So I do kind of like that it was a little bit more of a wider spacing. I used to think in order to use this, you had to line up both of them and just have them both click in like this to use it. Now this is great, don't get me wrong. This is a much more stable kind of platform and it feels more like something you would use in a gym. Of course, it's gonna be heavier with the arms. Downside is, as much as I loved this, it was kind of cumbersome to set up. And if you mess something up, of course, you got to take the loaders off and the weight bar off to kind of set it back up. So instead, what I do is just attach one side, which you'd think there's a hole right there and a peg. Why wouldn't I think of that? I don't know why. That is the best and easiest user-friendly way to use a straight bar. And then talking about exercises and overall how it feels, you guys have been seeing some exercises throughout the video. And if you've watched previous videos, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise as far as the stuff I'm really gravitating towards. That was a question I got in some of the comment sections, like what does this thing do good? What does it do bad? And what are some things that are maybe kind of okay? It kind of reminds me of like my tried and true Total Gym, another machine that I love that does, you know, quote unquote, a lot of exercises, you know, over 100 plus things. The bread and butter stuff, and this is again, personal preference probably here, is what I think feels best on these machines. But what those things do good, I think they do very well. So specifically talking about legs, doing squats on here feels excellent with this lever arm. There's something about that's just kind of forgiving with an arc, and I feel like the tension's in all the right spots. As I say, glutes, hamstrings is where I really kind of feel that kind of thrusting in. I don't really find myself adjusting the back pivot point for that, but squats, you can even do lunges. You can do the 2 landmine squats over your shoulder. I mentioned that, I like that a lot. Even over one shoulder is nice. And even calf raises. This is a big thing, kind of a 1-2 punch whenever I'm on this machine. I will set it up for squats, and then I will throw a calf block, one of the mini calf blocks I have, and I will do some calf raises here. It's just so easy to kind of throw that on. People asked about this, and I believe either he has made one or he could make one. I'm sure you can easily mod one if you wanted to. You could turn this into a vertical leg press, so that is an option. I have seen at least him do that. For chest exercises, this thing, Glenn likes to say it's almost comparable to using, you know, free weights or adjustable dumbbells. I don't know if I would say that. It is a very good feeling, no question. It is a very unique, good chest press. I'd still like to have, you know, the free weights there as an option to kind of do something either or. But as a standard machine, it is something that is probably one of a kind to what you kind of find unless you had some sort of swivel-based lever arm on your squat rack, which you could do, of course. But just that level of engagement, being able to kind of come together with the press, I think is a big step up, especially when you're comparing it to things like lever arms that don't do that. But I actually say one of my favorite chest exercises is the straight bar chest, and it's the way it is. Not to mention, it should go without saying that you have the buffer there for extra safety. So if you like kind of training to failure or just safety isn't of concern. Downside, I already addressed this, is this distance because it is a little bit shorter, that getting that position for my chest press took a little bit of time. I'm still kind of adjusting to that. And that's also me depending a little bit on your bench and just your own personal dimensions on finding that right angle that works for you. Shoulders also feel good, and just out of sake of either laziness or whatever, I usually don't set up the bench and do too much of that. I'll either just grab this thing like this and do this Viking press here. I think it's a great shoulder exercise. Or if I got 2 handles in, I'll go ahead and just kind of do some presses that way. I even hold it with a neutral grip. That also feels good. When it comes to back exercises, I believe I did a whole separate video, or maybe it was an Instagram post. I said that this is one of, if not the best, lat pull down exercise I have in my gym. There's something about just that lever pull that makes it kind of unique, and just the tension it gives off. So it's something that, yes, I would like to have, you know, a cable and a pull-up bar, of course, to do that once in a while. And of course, you can do a lot of calisthenics on this, however you want to set the machine up, body weight rows, presses, pull-ups, whatever. You can do pull-ups, of course, on this thing if you wanted to. And then you can position yourself in various back exercises to kind of do like a double lever arm row. Oftentimes, if I have one of the handles set up, I will go ahead and just go into bend over rows. That feels excellent. Not a big landmine person in general though, but there are a lot of functional things, quote unquote, I'm using that word very loosely. Those functional movement patterns, people like to do those rotations, squats, and presses with the landmine. And that is something, if you are a big landmine person, I think you'll really appreciate the back adjustment point of the arms. And then speaking of arms, yes, you can do some great arm exercises. I've seen Glenn and other guys use this, and I've tried it myself. You can use the barbell and just the straight arms to do it. I just feel like that still feels a little awkward and weird for me personally. I think the best arm exercise on this machine is using this belt squat attachment, so this thing does have a function for me, with some chains and just doing a curl this with a basic bar. That I think does give off some good unique tension. But I'd say another big thing, another big exercise for me that I like on this machine that stands out specifically are the tricep press down with that lap bar. And last but not least, landmine stuff, of course, with your obliques and abdominals. There's core area if you want to take advantage of that. Big things I use for abs, again, going back to that lat pull down, it's probably a third or fourth time I mentioned that thing. Just doing weighted crunches, same deal with lats and triceps. I love that tension it gives off in my abdominals. All right, so some summary points and who I think this machine is gonna be good for. I will just say, as far as upgrades, this is a massive upgrade from the previous machine with everything that comes with it. What I kind of tell people right away, the sticker shock might get you if it does, and this machine's not gonna be for you, no question. For sure, if you have a facility, training studio, especially a small studio, I've mentioned this in past videos also, this would be a no-brainer purchase because it does so many things. Swiss Army knife, like I said at the start of the video, you're gonna be able to do so much, say with clients or your own personal training. You could do group training in each of these arms if you really wanted to. 3x3 1-inch holes, very useful for a number of things in the future for other products, off-brand products, and Glenn's products can make in the future. Just a great anchor point for a number of things, especially things such as bands like I love. The key foundational exercises I listed for you guys, I think all feel great. Are there a lot of other possible fluff exercises and things you'll probably never do with these types of machines? 100% yes. What I kind of tell people in overall summary, if they're even thinking about this, where I think this thing really shines ultimately is this is the ultimate plate loaded machine, as I keep saying. If you used to go to the gym and use plate loaders like hammer strength, if you like lever arms in general but don't feel like you want to keep taking them on and off a squat rack, because that's my issue, I thought I would go ahead and do that, just don't do that for the sake of time. This gives you a nice station, and that's pretty much how I kind of use this. Do I go ahead and do all sorts of multi things and superset between exercises? I will superset and chain things together from time to time, but pretty much what I do, I have a staple of a few key exercises, and I'm sure I'll do more in the future, but I set those up either if it's my lat pull downs, my chest presses, shoulders, all those main things I said, and then I'll incorporate other things. So it's kind of an ultimate station machine that I kind of will change out and make it however I want in that particular day. The person I say who would not like this, and you'll know this is you right away, is if you do not like loading and unloading plates. And that's gonna cancel out other people. If you're used to going to the gym, there's a plate loaded machine there, and you like using it, don't mind using it, putting the weights back, racking them, whatever, I think you're gonna be fine. But if you're one of those people who walks in the gym and you see a plate loader and like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. But it is old school to its strength. It's gonna last you most likely a lifetime, and your kid's lifetime, and great grandkids' lifetime. And if you have a facility, for sure could take a beating. But if you don't like loading plates in that old school fashion, you're not gonna like this thing. So as with any versatile machine such as this, I could show you and say a lot more, so just definitely drop a comment down in the description box what you guys wanna see featured in the future. If you have any questions, I will certainly do my best to answer them. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Check out that affiliate link now in the future if you guys wanna check out this product and save some money or anything else in the future. And I will see you guys on the next one.